All right, this is Chapter 9, Lesson 5, Polygons on the Coordinate Plane. So when we're dealing with polygons on the coordinate plane, we can find perimeter and we can also find area. So basically all we're doing is we're counting boxes or things along that line. So to use the coordinates of a figure to find its dimensions by finding the distance between 2 points. So again, you can either subtract the 2 points if you know them, or you can count boxes. To find the distance between the 2 points with the same x-coordinates, you subtract their y-coordinates. To find the distance between 2 points with the same y-coordinates, you subtract their x-coordinates. So, for example number 1, a rectangle has vertices 2, 8, 7, 8, 7, 5, and 2, 5. Okay, so that's A, B, C, and D, respectively. Use the coordinates to find the length of each side, then find the perimeter of the rectangle. So it's asking you to do 2 things. It's asking you to find the length of both the sides, then it's asking you to find the perimeter. Make sure you're reading through all the directions, okay? So the width, I find the length of the horizontal lines, these 2 lines right here. So AB is 5 units long and CD is 6 units long. Okay, we found this out by saying from A to D, they have the same x, so I subtract my y. I'm sorry, A to B, they have the same y, so I subtract my x. 7 minus 2 gives me the 5, okay? And then the vertical lines, I subtract my y. These have the same these have the same x value, so I subtract my y values. 8 minus 5 gives me 3. So I have 5, 3, 5, and 3. So I add them all together. 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 3 is 13, plus another 3 is 16. So the rectangle ABCD has a perimeter of 16 units. Second example, rectangle ABCD has vertices 2, 1, 2, 5, 4, 5, and 4, 1. It did not give you a graph this time, so you actually do need to subtract. Use the coordinates to find the length of each side, then find the perimeter of the rectangle. So I subtract my y-coordinates first. So I have 5 and 1, so 5 minus 1 is 4. Okay, so that's between A and B. And then C and D is 5 minus 1 again, so that's also 4. You do need to do it for both of them. You don't know that it says in this case it's a rectangle. We know that the sides are the same. Sometimes it will just say a polygon or a parallelogram, so you don't actually know all the time if the sides are completely the same. Okay. Subtract my x-coordinates. 4 minus 2 gives me 2, and 4 minus 2 gives me 2. Add the lengths. 4 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2 is 12. We can also, for example number 3, you can see this is not just a rectangle. It actually has multiple sides to it. So each grid square on the zoo map has a length of 200 feet. Okay. Find the total distance in feet around the entire zoo. So when x-coordinates are the same, I subtract the y-coordinates. When y-coordinates are the same, I subtract my x-coordinates. So I'm going to go from the entrance to the monkeys. So that's 10, because 0 and 0, so 10 minus 0 is 10. Then I go from monkeys to gorillas, so 7 minus 0 is 7. Gorillas to the elephants, 10 minus 7 is 3. Elephants to tigers, 11 minus 7 is 4. Tigers to the aquarium, 7 minus 3 is 4. The aquarium to the rhinoceroses, 11 minus 7 is 4. Rhinoceros to the reptiles, 3 minus 0 is 3. And my reptiles to my entrance, 7 minus 0 is 7. I add all that up, I get 42 units, okay? Then my problem, they told me that the distance, each one of these squares represents 200 feet. So I multiply my answer times 200 to get the actual approximation in feet. So 42 times 200 is 8,400 feet. So the total distance is 8,400 feet around the entire perimeter of the zoo. You can also find area. You can find the area of a figure that has been drawn on grid paper or graphed on the coordinate plane by breaking it down into figures that you already know and recognize. So for example, this figure right here, I have a rectangle and I also have a trapezoid. Okay? So it can be separated into 2 units. I have again, the rectangle is length times width, area is 1/2 the height, base 1 plus base 2. So my area, my length, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 5 by 2. So 5 times 2 is 10. So base 1 for this, for my trapezoid, 1, 2, 3, 4 is 4. And the second base is 3. My height is 2. So I substitute all of that in. 3 plus 4 is 7. Times 2 is 14. Divided by 1/2 or multiplied by 1/2 is 7. So the area of the figure is 10 plus 7, or 17 square units. A figure has vertices A 2, 5, B 2, 8, and C 5, 8. Graph the figure and classify it, then find the area. So the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So I have to find my base and my height. So I have A and B. 8 minus 5 gives me 3. And B to C, 5 minus 2 gives me 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, times 1/2 is 4.5. So triangle ABC has an area of 4.5 square units. Alright, there are a couple of try it out problems below. I want you to go ahead, pause the video, try them out, and when you're done, we'll go over the answers together. Alright, now that you've had a chance to try out the try it problems, let's go over the answers together. So the first one I have, letter A, says use the coordinates to find the length of each side. Then find the perimeter of the rectangle. So E is 2, 5, F is 2, 6, G is 5, 6, and H is 5, 5. So we know it is a rectangle, so I need to subtract. So these two have the same x values, so I subtract my y values. 6 minus 5 is 1. So that's E to F. Okay. F to G, they have the same y values, so I subtract my x values. So that's 5 minus 2, which is 3. G to H is 6 minus 5, which equals 1. And H to E is 5 minus 2, which is 3. And I'm finding perimeter, so I add up all my sides. 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 3. So 4 plus 4 is 8. And they didn't give us any units, so 8 units. Letter B says find the area in square units of the figure at the right. So this is a parallelogram. So I need to figure out my base at my height. So my base, 1, 2, 3, 3 units, and 2 units up. So the area of a parallelogram is base times height, or length times width. So 3 times 2, which is 6. And again, they didn't give me any units, so 6 units squared. Make sure you are including your units, so whatever they may be. If they don't give you units, write units. Okay? For letter C, the coordinates of the vertices of a garden are 0, 2, 0, 6, 5, 6, and 5, 2. If each unit represents 12 inches, find the perimeter in inches of the garden. So again, I need to subtract. 6 minus 2 is 4. 5 minus 0 is 5. 6 minus 2 is 4. And then 5 minus 0 is 5. So my perimeter is 4 plus 5 plus 4 plus 5. So 9 and 9, which is 18 units. And we said each unit represents 12 inches. So I have to do 18 times 12. So 18 times 12. 8 times 2 is 9. 2 times 1 is 8 times 2 is 16. So I need to do 18 times 12. 8 times 2 is 16. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. I add them together, 216. And it's 216 inches. You can abbreviate using IN. Okay? So and again, we're finding perimeter, so it's just inches. Letter D says graph the figure and classify it, then find the area. So A is 1, 1. So that's there. That's letter A. B is 2, 3. C is 4, 3. D is 5, 1. So there's D. Okay. So this is a trapezoid. I need to find the area. So area of a trapezoid is 1/2 the height, base 1 plus base 2. So my height is 2. Base 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4. Base 2 is 2. So 1/2 the height, which is 2. 4 plus 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Times 1/2 is 6. So 6, and they didn't give us any units, so 6 units squared. All right, and that is the end of Chapter 9, Lesson 5.